go?
I'm ready. I think everybody's ready to go. Good practices in between now and good preseason. And yeah, I think we're all just want to get this game going now.
A lot of new faces too in this group. How's it been meshing them in and having them join kind of what's already being established here?
Of course, good. It's a great group of guys that is coming in, and yeah, I think we all have the same goal, and it's to make the playoffs this year, and that's the most important thing, to see the hunger in everybody's eyes, and that's what we want.
Newsy's talked a little bit about the defensive mindset he wants you guys to have to start the season and into the season. What's some of the elements of that mindset?
Of course, we got some skilled forwards. We can really put the puck in the net, and for us, Ds is especially important to keep the puck away from our own, of course, and not make stupid mistakes. So I think that's a big thing that we've been talking about, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Last season, this team got off to a good start, a formidable schedule to start this season. How key is that strong start going to be in getting the momentum and getting things going for this group?
Oh, of course, it's important. Of course, it's a long season as well. But to get those extra points in the start, it's huge, and I think that's a thing we've been working on really hard for right now.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it, man.
You feeling a comfort level developing there with different parts?
Yeah, I mean, preseason is you gotta kind of find, get a feel for everyone on the ice. Hasn't gone away on the ice maybe, but I know we're going to be ready on tomorrow. It's going to be a good power play. Either unit is great, so we have a good chemistry, even whoever's out there. I think everyone knows what they like and stuff like that, so it feels good on the practice now, so it's fun to start tomorrow.
I was going to say, like in a power play, is timing and chemistry kind of pretty crucial, and you guys just didn't have it during practice or enough time.
No, well, I don't know. I would say it's hard to say, but I mean, practice is still for get a feel for everyone out there. But I mean, everyone has seen everyone play, so I think I've been playing with Kaner a lot, so I know what he wants and stuff like that. So today felt great. So you just got to keep it going on the game.
Especially with an area as crucial as power play, how much did it help to have? I think there was 3 games during exhibition where it was pretty much all NHL lineup, and just now having had 3 days to work on it.
I mean, it's always great to work on it, but I think preseason is preseason. I think everyone knows it's go time now. Tomorrow is going to be another level. I think preseason you play against other PK and stuff like that and do different stuff, but I mean now it's real time, so everyone is ready to go. I think obviously preseason is great to have, practice on it, but try different units and stuff like that too. So, but like I said before, it felt great on the practice today.
How's it acclimating to living here? It's been pretty smooth?
Yeah, pretty smooth, yeah. No, it's been great ever since we came over here. Family, wife and 3 kids, so it's been a little challenge in the beginning, but I'm used to it, so it's kind of just get to know everyone in the team and see around the town and stuff like that, so it's been great.
It's almost like a mini Swedish national team too, so it's kind of
yeah. No, it's always nice to have a Swedish connection coming here, so yeah.
Thanks.
Have you settled on a goalie for tomorrow?
Yep, Ville Husso will be in net tomorrow. Again, confident in all 3 goalies. Was comfortable starting any one of those 3 tomorrow. I think you may even see all 3 sometime early in the season, but that's what we're going with, and we're excited about it.
What was behind it? Why?
I think his play. I think he was very sharp. His last 2 performances, his win in Pittsburgh and even his performance in Toronto, and those were both very hard tests. There was a lot of volume. Obviously, we played both opponents with their full rosters, and obviously we did not. So we leaned on him a lot. He did very well.
With the
three goaltenders, the idea isn't just to split up the starts evenly, right? It's for someone to kind of assert themselves as a starter. Am I getting the right?
Yeah, we would like for all three to try to assert themselves. Right now, and I think I alluded to this yesterday, we have a positive problem that all three performed well and was comfortable with all three. I mean, we were hoping for one to step up, maybe two. In fact, all three. And now we'll kind of have a reset here and judge it on performance now.
What's your message to the team ahead of starting the season?
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job here of staying in the moment. If you start talking to be where we were at the end of last year, you're talking outcome. That never works that way. You get lost in what you're doing daily. Our only focus since our last exhibition game was our opening night. So we want to concentrate on that. We want to perform the right way. We want to try to build. And this is our first opportunity.
What about like Vladimir Tarasenko? He's obviously had some really good seasons in his past. What do you look for him? Like, what can he be at his best for you guys?
Goals. We need goals, and that's clear. And he has produced. Obviously, he hasn't been that 40 goal pace that he's been, but he scored in the low 20s last year. We need those goals, but we also need the same thing we're going to ask the rest of our group: a responsible 200-foot game. And to Vlad's credit, that's something that he hasn't been at the top of at times in his career, but he's evolved. I like the fact that he's seen what winning looks like with his 2 Stanley Cup runs, and of course we need goals from him, we need offense, but we also need him to play a responsible game, not giving up easy offense.
That second line could potentially, really provide with Patrick as well, quite some offense for you guys.
Yeah, certainly hope so. But we also want to make sure they don't give up a lot of offense, which I think I had a couple of those questions last year. How do you manage those type of guys that I think one guy used it as leaning in our locker room called cheating. We want it done correctly. I think that's the way winning looks like.
Derek, are the expectations a little different though this year, considering
100%.
the upward trend and the way last season
It's the
ended?
reality of it. We sat here last year coming off an 80-point season, and no one had us in the playoffs. I understand it. And it was a little motivation for our group. I thought they pushed, and obviously we improved 11 points. But when you get to the brink, and it's a natural step you have to take, of course expectations have changed. So that'll be a little different challenge for our group, and how we ride some highs and lows. But I still think it's about taking care of your game in the moment.
You talked about motivation. It's also motivation just the way things ended last year when you had that lead in the playoff chase and then to lose it on the final night.
Yeah.
How much of a motivation is that?
I think that I think the guys are motivated, but I think they saw what it looked like, what it took. Obviously we didn't handle Dylan's injury very well. We were barely competitive some nights without Dylan. We will have to be better in those type of situations. And I just use that as a specific, but some of those ups and downs, and how important it is that you're battling literally for every point. And I think it was a lesson learned. But again, you're probably speaking on the end of the year. You're talking about long-term outcome. We have Pittsburgh, Nashville twice, the New York Rangers twice. Everyone has those type of stretches in their schedule. We have it to start. That's literally, that's the Stanley Cup final could be Nashville and Rangers, where those rosters are at, and that's 4 of our first 5 games. So this will be a really good test for us, and I'm actually looking forward to it.
We asked you a lot about Erik Gustafsson in the past, but I'm curious, his defense partner, Olli Mata, this is the second year you're playing him with an offhand power play quarterback on that third pairing. How important is it for him to have like a good season and be able to sort of carry the workload on that pair?
Absolutely. Very important. And there is challenge to the offhand. We had Ghost back last year. He had experience on his offhand. And even with Gus, I think part of the attractiveness of his signing is he's had experience on his offhand too. I think it's a reality. So I think it's unique. Some guys simply struggle playing their offhand. It's just they can't get angles, they can't get puck supports. It's just not comfortable for him. But he is, so I think that's part of it. And I think Ole needs to help him. And I think Ole helped Coach last year in his offhand, and he'll need to help Gus too.
How would you describe the mood in the room and at practice during the sort of in-between period with the preseason over and waiting for tomorrow night?
Anxious in a good way. You can see some good energy, but it's time to play. It's a very unique schedule in that, we played so many games, and camp was a grind, and we asked a lot of the guys in camp, and then you have 4 days before you play a game, and most of the leagues already started playing. So I just think there's a huge anxiousness to the guys of getting this thing going.
How do you get a little more consistency out of Alex DeBrincat had such a hot start last year? And then...
Yeah, when talking with Alex, we set simpler goals. We'd like to get maybe 2 to 3 shots off a game within the scoring area. Make that a goal. I never had a concern with Alex, and I talk about this a lot, in that through those cold spells of finishing, if you will, he was still getting looks. I would have been more concerned when he wasn't getting looks. And, sometimes that shooting percentage is high, sometimes it's low, but even on those dry spells, he was getting looks, and I give him a ton of credit. That ask of improving our team game, maybe from some of those DNA guys where it's not natural, he bought into the team game. He came off a similar record with Ottawa the previous year. He was a minus 31 with very similar production. He had very similar production with us. He was a plus player. And I think that's huge buy-in and a good example for our group.
Do you set individual goals per game for multiple guys? Is it like when you just kind of following up on that, you said you
we'll be clear.
Yeah.
It's part of the communication.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a goal. I mean, we
Yeah.
communicate daily with every
Yeah.
player individually. We communicate with the group, not to get into completely our entire process, but of course that's the reality of it.
With him, just when you talk about that team game, what about it for you as far as defensively? The growth? What
Wall
areas?
play,
Yeah.
puck play. Sometimes those offensive guys, they play at such a risk. They don't care what it looks like the other way, because in their minds, I'll get you.
Yeah.
We'll get this team the offense. Sometimes that happens, but I think there's a balance in there, and all greats and all good teams find that balance. And I think that's was our ask of him.
With Kane, there was so much kind of talk about what a full summer training would mean for him. You've seen him through a full camp now. Do you feel like there's something to that?
Absolutely, and just again, I was kind of taken back by his camp and some positives. Probably like a lot of our guys, he wasn't as emotionally engaged. Because I've been watching some of these stars, even we play in this league. They're spending some of their preseason games working harder not to get hurt than to play and produce. I hate it. They would never admit that to me because I would rip their heads off because of our ask of them. But there's a reality. You guys have seen of hockey, but so there's probably some of that where he's getting what he needed out of training camp. But I know I've mentioned this a couple times. Just grabbing him once just on the ice after a practice, and camp was designed to be a little extra this year, a little more intense. And he told me this was his hardest camp in his career. But then he followed up with, "It's exactly what I needed. I loved it." And I think that speaks volumes where maybe some of the young guys maybe had some bad body language after a couple of those tough practices where he embraced it. And I think that's why he is who he is.
A lot of new faces and new places in the division itself. Where do you kind of see how top tier the talent is in the division and the conference?
Well, the division's a bear. I mean, we all know that. I like the fact that it's elevated our group. Could we be sitting in here in a different conference or a different division? We may be talking about coming off already being in the playoffs. But that's the reality of our division. It's elevated us. We went undefeated against Tampa last year. We went 2-1 versus Toronto. We went 2-2 versus Boston. We took 3 of 4 points in Florida at the second half of the year. Obviously, they're Stanley Cup champions. So I think it's made us elevate and be true of who we are and how far we still have to go. And I think that's the way it should be. And I think the division stuff, but you can't really look at the division of where we're going to stand in it. I think the biggest grind about the division is you have to play these teams 4 times a year. It makes your schedule hard, but it's the right way. We need to come. These teams aren't coming to us. I've mentioned this a couple of years, and that's been proven. We have to go to these teams, and we're slowly getting there. We got to keep taking steps.
Thank you.